John LaRue here, InMotion Baseball. Today what we're going to do are some scapular PNFs. Learn this on a clinical rotation with Dr. Adam Strizak. This is a phenomenal drill to help with scapular stabilization. You're working with an athlete who, when they're doing motions for flexion and abduction, they're having winging of their scapula. They don't have good control of their scapula, and that's going to cause a lot of issues and compensations from their glenohumeral joint and whatnot. So with this exercise with Sean here, what I'm going to have him do is be in a sideline position. I'm going to be working on his right side, okay? So what I'm going to ask Sean to do is relax his arm on his side. I'm going to get him to be forward and neutral. He has a little bit of a rounded shoulder, so I'm going to bring that back. I'm also going to use my other hand to keep his scapula flat on his thorax. It's important that the scapula, if it's in the wrong position or if it's winging, we get it in the right position. From here, I'm going to ask Sean, just using your scapula, so I don't want your whole arm to move and your shoulder. I really want just your scapula to help move your arm and your shoulder to your nose. So he's going to move just to his nose, a little bit of that shrug and back down. To his nose, I'm keeping the scapula flat and back down. Good. These are going to be tight, compact movements. They're not going to be all around. Eventually, I'm going to have him bring his shoulder down, his scapula, down to his tailbone. And you can keep going back and forth. So eventually, he's making a little bit of a diagonal from his nose down to his tailbone, okay? So we keep going in this direction. I'm keeping his scapula flat on his thorax. Excellent. From the nose to the tailbone. Nose to the tailbone. Eventually, once Sean's at the hang of this, I can apply some resistance in one direction and eventually go into both directions. So as he's coming up to his nose, I can apply some resistance. Eventually, I'm going to put my hand on the inferior border of his scapula, right in. As he brings his arm back down into his tailbone, I can apply resistance into both directions. This is a little bit more advanced once the athlete has a good control of their scapula. This is an excellent drill that you can do to work on thk stabilizers and work in a position where they don't have to compensate by using their glenohumeral joint and potentially have some injuries come down the road. John LaRue here, InMotion Baseball. This is going to be a continuation of the Scap PNF drill done in the previous video. Previous video, we were helping the athlete move their scapula from their nose to their tailbone. We're going to go in the other direction now, where we're working from his ear to his belly button, okay? So with the athlete here, Sean, I'm going to move a little bit forward. He has some slightly rounded shoulders, so I'm going to make sure those are set and in neutral. I'm also going to make sure the scapula is flat against his thorax so it's not winging up or whatnot. For this same thing, I'm going to have the athlete use just his scapula to move his arm into his ear and back down. Ear and back down. So Sean's going to keep doing this, really focusing on keeping that diagonal, tight, compact movement on. Nothing too big and wild. This should be a really small, slight movement. Good. He's doing a good job of keeping his scapula flat against his thorax and not letting it pop up or whatnot. He'll eventually start in neutral here and now move his shoulder down to his belly button and back, keeping that scapula flat. So as Sean keeps doing this, we're moving it from the ear to the belly button in this direction, okay, this diagonal direction. Eventually, once he's got the hang of it and he develops some type of advanced skill of keeping his scapula controlled, I can apply some resistance in both directions. So with Sean, I'm going to start in neutral here. Have him move towards his ear. Good. And the second part of having him move down his belly button, just to show you, I'm going to get my hand right in his armpit area here. And as he moves his arm down to his belly button, that's going to be more challenging for him. So I'm helping him move up towards his ear and then down towards his belly button. Up towards his ear, down towards his belly button. Good. We'll give him one more. Good. So this is a great example of a drill with the last video, moving the different diagonal that you can do with an athlete. It's going to help stabilize their scapula. It's going to help reduce compensation. It's an excellent drill to work on those posterior chain muscles.